At sunrise on February 25th, Dan Molloy of East Sandwich stood atop Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, Africa. The height, 20,000 feet. It was a climb that had begun in January in Plymouth when Molloy began training in a gym in the sand pits. It also included a harrowing overnight stay near the top of Mount Washington 3 weeks earlier. On Mount Kilimanjaro, Molloy couldn't help but think of his experience on Mount Washington. On February 3rd, Molloy and Nilton, Motta, a personal trainer in Plymouth, were caught in a sudden snowstorm in early afternoon. They spent the night in a snow cave they dug near the top of Mount Washington in sub-zero temperatures and 70-mile-per-hour winds. They walked out unhurt the next day. Both adventures were unusual for this 51-year-old dentist who normally leads a quiet life on Cape Cod, tending to patients' root canals and the gentle animals on his 3-acre property.
At a New Year's Eve party, and there's a couple that I know, and they told me that their son was going to Mount Kilimanjaro on a hike. I ended up going. So I started January 1st training with this guy, Nilton, who's the guy I got stuck on Mount Washington with. So we went up Mount Washington because he said, Dan, if you're going to do Kilimanjaro, you should really go up above a snow line and above a tree line and get some experience. And we left early in the morning, and the rest of the story I think has been written about by your paper already. We went up and things were beautiful. A day like today, you know, it was gray but nothing threatening. Nothing threatening whatsoever. The weather forecast said everything is fine, and so we were going up to the summit and got stuck in a whiteout, and 27 hours later
Out you came.
Out we came. I think that the experience that we had up at Mount Washington made me not feel indestructible, because I realized how fragile we are and how Mother Nature is the boss, not us. We were walking up Mount Kilimanjaro. We had guides. There are no weather issues. You're against the elements, but it's oxygen, it's altitude, it's your own body against nature versus up in Mount Washington, things were totally out of control. And it's a 20,000 foot summit. We were flying home 5 days later, and we flew over in the air. The pilot said to us, he goes, if you look out the window to the left, you see Kilimanjaro. We were flying at 23,000 feet, and the mountain's 20,000 feet. I looked out the window and said, oh my gosh, with 3,000 feet, we're flying at 3,000 feet above where we just climbed. The night that we were summiting, they wake you up at 11 at night. We get back to our campsite the day before at 4. By 6 you're in bed. At 11 p.m. they wake you. At 12 midnight you start the final leg of the ascent. And I'm looking up, and it's a full moon. Beautiful. I mean, it's a full moon over Kilimanjaro, and the stars were everywhere. Cold. We made it to the top. We saw the sunrise, and it was just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Having it behind me was probably the highlight of the trip, because it was a pretty rough trip. It was hard. It was very demanding physically. Every day got harder and harder and harder. I said, I can't imagine what the last day is going to be like. Did I think of Mount Washington when I was there? Yes, I did. I was thinking that I was crazy, because Mount Washington, I was stuck and had to survive up there. And this trip to Kilimanjaro, as it was getting tough, and we were huffing and puffing, just sleeping at night and waking up because of the altitude. And I was saying, I mean, Washington, I had to do this. I elected and I'm paying for. You know, I felt like I'm crazy. Why am I here?
This is Sue Scheibel, staff reporter for the Patriot Ledger. For more coverage, see today's newspaper or go to patriotledger.com.